So Red Eye's Darkest Metal Dragon was of course like the obvious one to go with, and the Darkest Metal can still be played
Nothing like
in
a
a lot of
midnight Yu-Gi-Oh!
Dragon decks nowadays. It can be very like meta relevant, and the reason why I still see Eclipse Wyvern staying banned is because it's also a light dragon itself. Say you get it into the
I'm taking
graveyard, use the
Mitsurizio.
effect to banish that level 7 or higher dragon like Darkness Metal or something like that. You can actually just use your own Bestials to banish your own Eclipse Wyvern in order to bring out your Bestials, get your Bestial effect, then you can add that banished monster off Eclipse Wyvern to get to your hand. And if it's Darkness Metal Dragon,
I think I'd like to go for evenly matched instead. I'm really worried about stun. I think stun's really popular in YG Omega right now.
Really, really crazy. There's just a lot of ways that this can be used, which is
And
why
evenly matched is our best weapon against them.
Especially since the introduction of
Unfortunately.
I don't really see this card coming back. Next up, we have Level
At the very least, it means
that's not once per turn, and this card's crazy and probably can never come back.
meta choices aren't as good of a choice here typically.
But it's not like an FTK, it's not locking your opponent out of doing stuff. It's just a card that you pretty much keep getting it back from the graveyard, keep using it as material for like links or anything pretty much. You just keep bringing it back. So basically, if this card's in the graveyard, you can target a level 5 or higher monster, decreases level by 1, and specials on this card in the graveyard. Because it has to be level 5 or higher, if you decrease a monster down to level 4, you no longer bring it back. But there's some guy, like a level 10, summon this guy 5 times. Very insane, not once per turn, falls in the same category as Dandelion. Dandelion is probably more broken, to be honest.
Making me go
You have
first.
to go through a lot more hoops with Level Eater, but I mean, at the same time, they're very comparable. I think they're evenly matched, to be honest with you. It just really depends on what you're going for. I think Level Eater, I would give the edge to Level Eater just based on the fact of how easy it is to bring out high-level monsters now. Well, like with the likes of Phantom of Bell, I'll use for example. It is next to nothing to bring out that really high level 11 monster that it's so easy to kind of loop Level Eater over and over again. So I'd give the edge to Level Eater, but I can still see your argument why they're both very, very similar. Next up, we have Kelbeck and Agido. Now these cards, they do a lot more than just, mill cards, but the main effect of these cards is that if they're sent to the graveyard by card effect, both players mill 5. Both cards do this, which is crazy. Now imagine this tier that is insane, but in so many decks being able to mill 5 is crazy. However, if we imagine a world where a tier doesn't exist, these cards are not very good. These cards are only good because of tier, and of course, if they were brought back, tier would be like a meta threat, it would be insane. But in a vacuum, these cards are not too crazy. Of course, there are strategies that rely on milling cards, but they only mill the cards. It's not like mill and special summon, like zombie vampire and stuff like that. But they're just a bit too insane, because imagine you mill one of them, they mill 5, and they mill the other one, mill another 5. That's already 10 cards in your opponent's deck, and 10 cards in your own graveyard that you use. So, yeah, cards do not come back. They also have their own effects where, like, if they're special summons, they do specific things. That's just like cherry on top, and they're also level 4, so you could kind of use them with your Time Thief Meteor and stuff like that in tier. But yeah, they're broken, shouldn't come back. In a world where tier doesn't exist, I could see them coming back. In a similar vein, we have Fairy Tale Snow. This card should never come back. We'll go here. I put it up one. Yeah, honestly. I don't know what it is that
If
Snow.
this is Tenpai,
how broken she is.
then Detonator will be will be very worth having.
She spoke of Moon when she's summoned, but she can so easily be summoned because
It all depends on whether they're playing board breakers or not.
Graveyard, hand, or field. Graveyard, hand, or
And I'm gambling on them not having a lot of board breakers.
Any card. It was at least restricted to like monsters or something like that, or spells or whatever. I don't think it would be as bad, but the fact that it can be anything is something that really grinds my gears, just because it's so blatantly generic. And not only that, depending on what cards you banish, you can get a lot of advantage from that. There was a brief window where I think we brought this back for like one format, and like even the common copies were being sold for at least like €5 or whatever. And I will admit, I threw it into Virtual World because I thought it was quite funny. because you can kind of
If
recycle
they're
all of
waiting
your
for
stuff using
Nibiru here,
Chichen.
I'm still
But
perfectly
seeing
fine
it
with
being
that as
abused
well.
in all of the other sort of decks, is this still legal in Master right now? It is. It is still legal in Master right now, yeah, because I remember we played a match. I think the dude was playing Tier or something like that, and just the recycling they were able to do constantly and always bringing out snow. It's so annoying. It deserves to be on the top of the namesake of the Tier Tail, though. And don't forget, this card
Why
is
is
not
he the
once
one
per turn,
spending more
not once per
time?
chain. You use the effect, banish 7 cards from your graveyard. Your opponent bristles you. You chain the effect again. Banish another 7 to special summon it. It's insane. It's broken. It should never come back. Next
They
up,
were waiting this long for a
bring it back.
second Molcharmy.
This card was a victim of Algae Fiberax, that Crystron card that everyone hates. Crystron is creamed, we all know this. Noble should come back. When it's sent to grave, build top card of your deck and you can bring it back. That is once per turn. So this card is... That's once per duel. Once per duel! This card could easily come back. He did nothing wrong. Honestly, I can see him coming back, because his last printing was in the quarter century bonanza, so, like, they already really upgraded him, like, crazy to, like, platinum Sacred Rare and quarter century Sacred Rare. So, it's like they're teasing us a little bit. They're like, oh, we know you guys want these cards, but, like, you've got to work for it. Lobo can definitely come back. I don't see it being abused. Once per duel effects, in some circumstances, I can see why they're once per duel. This is one of them. I understand why it's once per duel. I still think it'd come back though. It's not like Cyber Dark Worm where it's like a pointless once per duel. You can understand why it's once per duel, so it's very well restricted. Next up, Cyberstein, and this guy is very good. Pay 5k and special any fusion monster from extra deck. And there are ways that you can turn this guy to a psychic, and there's ways that you just won't have to pay the cost. So you just like turbo out all of your fusion monsters. I know it's a bit gimmicky, but even in like Sprite and stuff like that, get this guy out, pay 5k, bring out any guy you want. Beautiful. Should be bad. It's absolutely insane. I know you mentioned that like there's a ways you can manipulate him being a psychic, and then with another guy, you don't have to pay 5 points for a psychic monster's effect. But it's so funny seeing Cyberstein standing next to Magical Scientist. Yet if it's just going like band for band, if they're on one-on-one, Cyberstein is still technically 5 times worse than Magical Scientist. So you can still see the drastic difference between these cards that both do the same thing. But yeah, we should just stop cheating out fusion monsters. Next up, Grinder Golem. He's kind of similar to Dandelion, where he just summons 2 tokens, but he's a lot harder to get out, and he's only okay. Upon further inspection, this guy is a bit the same. We'll still put him below Dandelion, but you summon him to your opponent's side of the field, and you instantly get 2 tokens. It does stop you from normal summoning for the rest of the turn, but that hardly matters. This guy is a free link to instantly, and it gives your opponent a monster which turns off cards like Imperm, which is actually very important. It even turns off cards like the Molcharmies. So if your opponent does not shotgun Molcharmy, you summon this guy, and then your opponent just can't Molcharmy you. So it's very, very good. And of course, the 2 tokens are just insane. So yeah, very much like Dandelion, but you know, a bit kind of weird to use. You only get 2 tokens. It's not like
I give them 2 more card draws.
Yeah, pretty good. Fiberchair, hear me out. I think he can bring him back. I think it's really, really funny. Fiberchair is a flip monster. No one plays flip monsters anymore, and if you see your opponent like setting a monster and like passing and stuff like that, you know they're up to something. So you're gonna do everything you can to like remove that monster without having it be flipped or attacking into it. So
oh shit, I don't have any Rhizio monsters.
When he's flipped
I
up,
feel stupid
each
now.
player shuffles all cards from their hand, field, and graveyard
Whatever.
to the deck, then draw 5 cards. That is so dumb and so funny that I don't see how it can be a problem. It's okay, maybe it can be a problem, but still, I just think it's too hilarious. It's just one of those obscure cards that you just never really see anyone playing. It'll be like Cyberjar and Morphing Jar and stuff like that. They never end up.
Not really concerned with those numbers of cards.
Come back and no one would play it. Just looking for a good time and a laugh, and that's what we're missing from this game: a good time and a laugh. So bring God back. So next up, the Tyrant Neptune. Now this card, it doesn't seem crazy, like just by looking at it. Essentially, when you tribute summon this card, it gains the effect of the monster used to tribute it. So you're basically like copying the effect of a really strong monster. That can lead to a lot of issues. Essentially, FTKs pretty much is the main thing. You activate an effect to burn your opponent, bring this guy out, and just use the effect to burn again. So it pretty much bypasses any like once per turn type of effect. And I'm sure you could have used this card now in like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's cool. I like the gimmick. I think copying effects is like a cool idea, but it never leads to like good things happening. So yeah, let's just keep them off for now. Yeah, XTKs can never come back. Definitely deserves to be high on the list. Next up, Spiral Master Plan. Now, back in the day, I may have been a Spiral Defender.
Wait, what?
When
I thought they targeted spell traps. Am I dumb?
Nowadays, I'm like, this should not come back. I understand that it could, and it wouldn't be an issue. Again, Master Rule has it, it's not that bad. But the
They targeted monsters.
It's insane. On summon, you add a card. When it's sent to grave, you add 2. What the hell is this? At least it's once per turn. But this card's insane. In fairness, I'll put it down here because, you know, it's a good card, of course. A +3 is insane. But in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! There are worse cards than this. But I just don't like Spiral as a deck. So I'm just going to put it here.
Amazing.
It is what it is. I'd agree with you. I'd put it in. That's not
very based, but apparently Spiral was just a very toxic deck.
Spiral cards at the end of the day, and I know Spiral can be a very powerful deck, but it did get power crept quite a lot. Unless if they get some really broken support, I don't necessarily see Spiral being a top meta contender if Master Plan ever did come off the list. So yeah, probably bang on in the middle next to Victory Dragon. It's fine. It's in the middle. Next up, Fishbolt Blaster. It's very similar to...
So they do have board breakers,
just not just banned as like, you know, a generic kind of tuner guy. Now, a funny thing about him is that you can special summon him by discarding a water monster.
I see.
This can trigger the effects of like your...
Well, they do have the correct ones, it turns out.
It's kind of funny. You might actually see this card in those decks. Probably not. Maybe in some synchro like variant of them, you could see it. But it is harder once per turn. It's not that broken. Easily come back. It's just a fish. It's a god. Yeah, honestly, I don't really see him changing anything if he ever did come back. He's kind of like Glow Bulb. I think he's a little bit worse than Glow Bulb, to be quite honest with you, so he can definitely come back. Next up, Block Dragon. Very similar to like Master Plan, but I'd say I want to put him up here. Because Master Plan, of course, is insane. But Block Dragon is just way more like generic and annoying. Any rock deck can play this. And of course, the only real good rock decks are like Adamantipator and stuff like that. But being able to pretty much like
Cashier Theosis, what the fuck?
From your deck to your hand, so it can be like your.
I guess that was a brick.
And like 2 Adamantipator because they're level 2. They have to equal up to the level of Block Dragon itself, so level 8. Add 3 rock monsters.
Definitely not what I expected.
For free. It's just crazy. When sent to grave, you just do it, and that shouldn't be in the game. I'm not a fan of Block Dragon. Yeah, I think that the main problem with it is that it resummons itself easily to Link Climb and stuff like that. And considering that it's able to get so much advantage already, having it go the extra mile to Link Climb in certain decks just means it makes it too far. I know he's back in Master Duel and stuff like that, but I don't know. I really would not like to have to deal with him in TCG. And I will say this. The longer he's banned here, the more likely we get Meow Meow Mew back, and that's something I'm striving for right now. Next up, Mind Master, FTKs. We all love FTKs. Yeah, this is the FTK squad right here. It's now up here for whatever reason. But yeah, FTKs. Mind Master has the effect where you can pay 800 life points, tribute a Psychic Monster, and special summon a level 4 or lower Psychic Monster from your deck. You can do this as many times as you want. You can keep tributing the monster that you like special summon. So if you have a bunch of Psychic Monsters in your deck, special summon a monster, get the advantage, tribute it, get another monster, and you can see where this can
It's a blind second Cash Tira.
This can manipulate your
Very
life
weird.
Weird strategies back in the day with stuff like self-destruct button, even last turn. Yeah, this card is insanity. This card's insane. Don't bring it back. Yeah, also the fact that emergency teleports at 3 now, I don't really see this guy come back either. And finally, Blackwing Gofu, the Vague Shadow. Again, it's another token guy. If you control no monsters, special summon it from your hand, and summon 2 tokens.
Ah, they had 2.
It's the same as these guys.
It's a Blackwing, but it doesn't really like function in Blackwings, to be honest. It's, you know, it's just these guys. Arguably worse, but yeah, it's a token spawn.
Well, one deck that did kind of take advantage of it was the likes of Metal Foes. So with Metal Foes, what they were able to do was
Cool.
able to
It wasn't Tenpai. There are no Tenpais.
Level 5 or whatever, and then they can go into
We
Sulkin,
win this.
because Sulkin doesn't specifically need a certain level, just needs 2 monsters of the same level that's level 5 or higher, including a tuner. So they use that Gofu for that and their other like level 5 guy. And then what they were able to do was they were able to use the tokens as kind of like popping material to get some of their effects as well. So you can kind of see how it was already being taken advantage of before Lynx, and now just having an introduction of Lynx into the circulation as well means that it's probably going to stay banned for a while.
Certain Fiendsmith control decks already run like Steam the Cloak for like the single token, so they would love to run this card. 2 free tokens and a body. Insanity. Let's get into it. Alright, let's begin with an OG, a classic card. We have Giant Trunade.
Honestly, I can see it being in the middle of the tier list, just with Last Will to Live. My reason for that is because, yes, it's broken, it returns all spells subtracts in the field to the hand. And one argument a lot of people made was the fact that if you set up a bunch of floodgates, such as the easy to flip up ones like There Can Be Only One, Skill Drain and all that, just to completely cripple your opponent during their turn, activate Giant Trunade, all that stuff gets back into your hand, and then you're able to just abuse your own turn without worrying about your own floodgates you set up. That's one of the main reasons people wanted to like stay off the ban list. But considering how heavy Konami's been cracking down on those like easy to flip up trap floodgates, you can kind of see an argument for why Giant Trunade can come back. But I still think it's broken enough that it stay where it is, just because there are some old cards that still see play. So there are some cards where if you activate it and get an effect, and say it's a continuous spell or whatever, then you activate Giant Trunade to get it back into your hand. Then you can just activate it again and get another bit of advantage. So I can kind of see why this needs to stay banned and kind of needs to stay where it is. But I can see both arguments really.
I will say that is like a fair argument, but a lot of like, let's say combo decks, if they have continuous spells and traps, they're already once per turn. Now I can't see this being good in like turn 3 or 4, you know what I mean? Like, you activate it on turn 1, goes back to your turn, you activate Heavy Trunade, hand it back to your hand and play it again. But I don't think it's crazy. I do think the potential for it to be broken is there. And you know, it's another good card against back row decks, which I feel like we have kind of enough. Like, I feel like if you have something like Lightning Storm, destroys them all. If you're playing against Labyrinth, at least those traps have effects in the graveyard. This is maybe a bit broken against stuff like Labyrinth and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It's banned, and I don't really care if it comes back. It's not like that important really. So yeah, we'll keep it banned, but it's definitely the most broken card on this list. We've yet to see the insanity Konami was on. Speaking of which, Mystic Mine. We're not yearning for the mines today. This card is pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, yeah, maybe top tier on what does it do, but at least very, very high. How was this legal? This is absolutely insane, because what I mostly hate about some turn off your brain decks is how little cost you need to be paying in order to just like get them out into the field. And Mystic Mind Burn was just one of these decks that was just so low brain power that anyone could pick it up and just play it, but it was so toxic to play against, because basically you can go like full combo, or maybe you set a little bit of a board. All your opponent has to do was activate Mystic Mind. It turns off all of your board because it just negates all the monster cards that you control. The thing with Mystic Mind is if you activate Mystic Mind and your opponent controls more monsters than you do, then your opponent cannot attack with those monsters, and also those monsters cannot activate their effects. So it's just a really, really stupid floodgate. You can make an argument with the other floodgates we mentioned earlier, so that there can only be one. At least you had to set them first. Mystic Mind, you just activate it straight away, and then it's an instant skill drain and Messenger of Peace. So yeah, I really, really hate this card. Sean and I kind of like really started to take Yu-Gi-Oh seriously when this was like still legal and active, and they were horrifying times.
Next up, a card that would have saved us from Mystic Mind if it was legal back then. We have Heavy Storm. This is a weird one because in Master Duel, and I'm pretty sure in the OCG, Heavy Storm is back. just destroys all spell trap cards in the field. It's just Harpies, but it destroys your own spell traps as well. And I know back in the day, people were like, "Oh, this destroys my like pendulums or something," and like I gain effects from this. Nowadays, that doesn't really happen. There's no real advantage in destroying your own cards. This is just another kind of Harpies-like card that's good for just destroying your opponent's back row. And I think it's fair, because there's not enough cards in the game that go for back row decks. I know back row decks are not really popular right now, but there's not enough kind of board breakers that are good for back row. And I think Heavy Storm is perfectly fine. It's not broken, it's legal in certain formats. Bring it back, it's not that crazy. Next up, Kaiser Coliseum in a similar vein.
I don't understand why people love Kashtira so much.
I put it in
They're going first.
Because I can kind of
And of
see
course
why
I
it
drew
was
no more
legal,
Charmies
but
this
I
time.
just don't like it.
How typical.
I don't like cards that are easy to just activate for like no cost and just cause such a crippling amount of suffering for your opponent. Basically, what Kaiser Coliseum is that if there's one or more monsters on the field,
May as well see if we
the
can break the
controller
board,
of Kaiser Coliseum,
since we drew
their
a lot of
opponent
engine.
cannot place more monsters on the field
Powerful
than the
engine.
person who has activated Kaiser Coliseum. So, for example, say if you're playing some sort of Floodgate deck and you have that Fossil Dyna guy on the field, you activate Kaiser Coliseum, your opponent can only control one monster to match the amount of monsters that you have, which is just super annoying considering that most decks nowadays, they need one monster to start and then go into another monster for linking off and stuff like that. So you just need more than one
Kashtira.
monster to actually do anything. And especially if you're going first and you activate Kaiser Coliseum,
It's not
just so
Mitsurugi.
hard
I can
to
beat
go
it with
It's
just
really,
the engine.
really hard to get rid of
The
spells
whole
traps
engine's
like right away
ridiculous.
unless you're running stuff like Cosmic Cyclone, Harpies, or
Gear Cash.
spells trap specific removal in your deck. Because most spell and trap removal now comes from monster effects and stuff like that, so it can be really, really annoying to get rid of this card. And again, much like Mystic Mind, it's zero brain power.
Tribute summon Fenrir.
Next up,
That's
Painful
crazy.
Choice. Bring it
Why the
back.
hell
No,
would you
this
do
card's
that?
kind of insane. Like, okay, there's kind of like a thing with bans.
For Rice
that,
Heart, I
like,
guess.
It's either a floodgate or it gives you like all the advantage in the world, which is kind of funny. Yeah, it's arguably more broken because you can use it more damage. You know what I mean?
I would have kept Unicorn on the field.
You activate and resolve this card, you're winning. Basically, you pick 5 cards from your deck, your opponent picks 1 for you to add to your hand, and the rest goes to your grave. Imagine this in tier. Pick like a bunch of tier names and like one random card, and yeah, just dump them all, you add a card to your hand, and you gain all the effects of grave. It's insanity. It's a +1, and you're dumping 4 cards. It's just insanity. Of course you can ash this, but like, it doesn't matter, this card's insane.
Yeah, it's essentially a +5 when you think of it, considering how much the graveyard is a second hand now. It's basically just saying, with Painful Choice, you can just pick whatever cards you want in your hand if you open this. I think it should be up next to Mystic Mind, because it is really broken, especially when you're thinking about modern Yu-Gi-Oh!
You can also search this off with Triple Titans Trust, which is hilarious. Next up we have Dimension Fusion, this card is really good.
Now with Dimension Fusion, yeah, it's pretty broken. You can special summon onto your, with the cost of 2,000 life points, you can special summon onto your field as many banished monsters that you want onto your field, which is just absolutely insane. And yeah, you can make an argument that like, well, they're only at the banish zone, so it doesn't really matter. But one thing that I find really, really funny about this card is because it's considered a fusion card, if it's in Master Duel, you can use this with Verte Anaconda as well. So it's going to dump Dimension Fusion, then you just bring back a bunch of your banished stuff. So yeah, it's still really, really broken. I don't see this card ever coming back really, especially now that we have a designated banishment in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. So it's just a way for it to get abused. It's just a way to spam the board, and yeah, just for the cost of 2,000 life points, it's not a hefty cost enough in order for this card to be brought back at all.
Imagine this in Malice.
That makes a lot of sense.
That would be hilarious.
Unfortunately.
Next up, Metamorphosis. It's pretty good. It lets you tribute a monster and especially some fusion monster with the same level from your extra deck. Yeah, that could probably be abused a lot now. Let's probably put it up here. There's a bunch of good like fusion monsters now that you can probably just summon a guy, use Metamorphosis, and bring out like some crazy boss monster. So yeah, I'm sure it's pretty broken. Back in the day, it wasn't like too crazy, but you know, I'm sure there's a ton of like broken cards you can just get out that you really shouldn't be able to get out.
Considering how easy it is to get fused monsters onto the field nowadays, I'm still absolutely shocked at Azamina bringing fusion monsters out by just getting rid of one simple spoil card. I think it's pretty crazy. So you can make an argument that maybe Metamorphosis isn't the most broken card anymore, but just
Very
when you consider
short-sighted in my
all
opinion.
fusions that we have now that don't necessarily need summoned anymore, this could have the potential of getting out of hand. I don't see any direct lines in where this can be abused per se, but I just know for a fact that not only is it good for getting a fusion monster out,
Yep,
but also
they surrender.
monster to get it out. You're
Yeah.
essentially getting an extra body.
Like I said, that was a very short-sighted move on their part.
So yeah, it can definitely be abused, but I don't think it's as broken.
They
as
did
like
not need. They did
or,
not need to.
Dimension Fusion.
They
So
were in a
definitely there's
very
lower
comfortable
end of
position.
how it's-
Fenrir
Next
should have been
up, part of
saved
three,
for my
draw
summon
2 cards.
of
Next
what's
up,
his name.
Forceful Sentry.
But no,
This
they were like,
combo,
nope, I'm not gonna let you
just
summon
might
anything.
remove them all together.
they're all bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much. So, Forceful Sentry is you're basically just looking at your opponent's hand and getting rid of one. Absolutely crazy. Confiscation, you're paying 1,000 life points, look at your opponent's hand, get rid of one. Delinquent Duo, what the... Like, what? How? You pay 1,000 life
And
points?
that's why I don't
How
activate
do
my
you get rid of
searcher
a card in
cards.
your opponent's hand?
Because
They
the roll
have
and
to
lock is
discard
just that
another card.
powerful right
So
now.
you're basically
Let's
ripping
go rock
two
first.
cards out of your opponent's hand for next to no cost, and that is absolutely crippling.
Wait, what?
It is definitely the best
Oh, I'm on
hand
the
grip
left
spell,
side.
and there is not a chance that this thing's ever coming back. I mean,
Why?
I think broken has to keep broken and go format. To
Yeah,
be honest with you.
say that. Like, they're broken in the format that they were like in.
Yeah.
They're fully legal.
Exactly. So there's not a chance this thing would ever come back. If we were to ever look at like Yu-Gi-Oh's equivalent to the Power 9,
Fuck it.
Delinquent
They
Duo
get to
is
go first.
definitely up there.
It's a free
with
win
Rocket
for
League
them.
and stuff like that.
You
So,
know?
yeah, these are all
I don't think
unfair
they'd be
cards and
complaining.
deserve to be in the top
Assuming
tier.
they can FTK. Or
Next up,
OTK.
Soul Charge. This card is so funny because how
It's
is this ever
fucking
legal? This
Pearly!
is just insanity. Pay 1,000 life points for each monster in your grave, and especially summon as many monsters as you want. That's just madness.
I'd rather
Just
they
like,
not play
insanely
here.
broken, and people didn't play when it was legal.
Yeah, especially when you think of how late it was like released, because I think you'd read that card and think it's like, oh, from 2004 or something like that. No, this is a fairly modern card when it came out, and I don't know how it was ever legal at all, so it definitely deserves a spot in how was this legal.
This was like 2017. I remember getting this in, I think it was a legendary duelist box. It was like in the Phantom Knight deck or something like that, and that's like, of course that'd be crazy in Phantom Knights, but just having this card like just throw shit out. That's just so funny. It's like, this card is insane.
Do they
Next up,
seriously
cards
not
of
have
the
anything
turn.
else?
There's no way this thing can ever come back. So it's when a monster is special summoned from your graveyard, you can draw one card. And that's not a once per turn effect, this is a continuous spell as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So considering the likes of Horus and stuff like that, and Horus you can throw into pretty much any deck you want really, hypothetically speaking, yeah, card of Safe Return is just absolutely insane. There's a lot of cards that are just able to special themselves in the graveyard. Even when you're thinking of the likes of heroes and stuff like that, I think that can kind of abuse it too. The likes of your Cross Crusader and things like that. So yeah, I definitely
Field spells into Playmaker.
Safe Return would probably be up there with the Power 9. It is pretty broken. Hand advantage is everything in Yu-Gi-Oh! So having a card that you're able to draw a bunch, not once per turn, just for bringing cards back from the graveyard, this will be used and abused like nothing else.
Next up, we have Cold Wave. This card is kind of insane. We'll put it like here, maybe even here. So yeah, only activate during your main phase 1, and until the end of the next turn, you and your opponent can activate spells and traps. That's it.
Just straight up, like one of the most important parts of this game, setting traps and activating spell cards. Yeah, you can't do any of it. It basically means you can't play most of your deck.
Yeah, and it's crazy if you're going first, because if you're going first and you have like a monster-focused deck, activate this card and then do your full combo, and your opponent just can't break your board. Most board breakers are spell cards, and most combo pieces are spell cards. So certain decks is just like auto-win if you're going first. It's kind of broken, to be honest.
Yeah, it never came up, but like if this was in the game now, it can even turn off imperms and stuff like that. I feel like the wording will be correct. So yeah, no, Cold Wave can stay banned. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have all the broken equip cards. Let's start off with Smoke Grenade of the Team. It kind of goes into the hand rip category, because it's like, if it's sent to grave, you rip a card out of your opponent's hand.
Yeah, but this was abused in Infernal Knights, and what I find so funny about this card is, yeah, it's a broken, like, spell and stuff like that.
That's
But
depressing.
this was the only way they hit Infernal Knights, and after they hit that, like, everyone just stopped playing Infernal Knights, which I find to be really funny, because it actually is a fairly decent deck, but, as soon as they took away the hand ripping stuff, people wanted to stop playing with, which I think is very unfair, but also kind of funny. A lot of equip spells can be used and abused, especially like the old ones that aren't once per turn. So Smoke Grenade and Thief, I'm not really surprised that it got banned eventually. There was going to be some deck that was going to be able to take advantage of it, so just so happened to be Infernal Knights.
Next up, Butterfly Dagger, whatever it's called.
They should at least try to see what I have.
The reason why this is mostly banned is because of a degenerate reason where there's a strategy where there is a card, one of Joey's cards, I think it's Gear Free to Iron Knight. If an equip spell is equipped to Gear Free to Iron Knight, then it destroys the equip spell. But Butterfly Dagger has the effect that if it's destroyed,
low commitment.
the graveyard goes back to your hand. Now, one reason why that was so broken was
They've
because
revealed
if
everything
you
they
pick
have.
this up with Magical Library and Gear Free to Iron Knight, right? What you gotta keep doing is you're going to activate
Biggest issue is one of those are called by.
That's activating a spell, so your Magical Library gets a counter. Gear Free is going to destroy the Butterfly Dagger, and then that dagger is going to be returned to your hand, because none of these are once per turn. You're going to activate Butterfly Dagger again, equip it to Gear Free. Magical Library is going to get another counter. Gear Free is going to destroy that card, send it to the graveyard, and add it back to your hand. You're basically hand booping yourself, because Magical Library, you get rid of 3 counters, you get to draw a card. This was an Exodia FTK.
Let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back.
Convince me, this is the best card in the game. Next up, Premature Burial. This could probably come back. I know it's an equip spell, I know there's some like weird stuff you can do with it, but it's kind of just like worse Monster Reborn, honestly.
Yeah, it's always banned now, so you can't really take advantage of it too much anymore, I feel like. And I don't know, I just think there's better ways to reborn monsters from the graveyard without having to rely on Premature Burial. You can't even search yourself a thrust or anything like that. And there's so many archetypes that just have like built-in reborns anyways that you don't necessarily need Premature Burial, in my opinion.
It definitely is one of those cards where like in a ban list or 2 you can just see it coming back. It's not that crazy. Next up, Mass Driver. This is a nice FTK card. It's basically Cannon Soldier, Tribute Monster, burning one for 400. Not once per turn. You can see where this could go awry. You can see where this can be absolutely insane for FTK decks.
FTKs for days, yeah. The amount of decks that are able to spam out monsters now, and you're able to just get rid of a monster and inflict 400 damage to your opponent. It's pretty crazy. Definitely a last one to live.
Next up, Mirage of Nightmare. This is kind of a weird one because, you know, it's very good. You activate it, and then during your opponent's standby phase, you draw until you have 4 cards, and then during your standby phase, you discard as many cards as you drew. This card is, of course, it's fantastic because you can draw like 3 cards, but it's only during your opponent's turn, which you can draw like hand traps and stuff like that. So that's really crazy. And obviously, if you don't have cards in your hand, you can't discard them. So if you draw one hand traps, you can't even discard all of them. So very strong in that regard. Also, even back in like Edison format, you could just like if you're playing a chaos deck, draw a bunch of cards in your opponent's turn, and discarding any kind of chaos guys. So yeah, this card's kind of insane. It is a bit weird because it draws in your opponent's turn. So I think if it came back, of course,
I forgot I summoned from the deck first.
I think it's like a bit clunky in a way, but you know, people would probably just run it just to draw into hand traps on your opponent's turn, which is kind of cringe. So I mean, okay, yeah, that's put it up. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Especially when you think of like the amount of hand traps decks run now. Because I even look at like my Fire King deck and stuff like that. When I was able to pop off with it, I end up with like 1 or 2 cards in hand. And then if I had Mirage
Book of
field,
Eclipse is a tech choice. I'll give it that.
Hand traps. Yeah, pretty crazy. I think the timing of it is just a little bit weird because you're drawing during your opponent's standby phase, and then you don't have to discard stuff until your next standby phase, which is just, it's fairly odd. It's oddly worded, oddly played, but it could definitely make some unbalanced game.
Next up, Graceful Charity, arguably more broken than Pot Greed.
Pretty good.
3 cards, discard 2. And that's just insanity. I can't believe like everyone jokes about really being the most broken card. Graceful Charity is even better.
Oh, I always say Graceful Charity is way more broken than Pot 3. Well, Graceful Charity is great because when you're thinking you're drawing 3 and then you're discarding 2, you're basically getting like +1 essentially. However, considering that your graveyard is a secondary hand, if you're going to be discarding 2 cards to the graveyard, that is potentially more advantage for you. And especially if you're playing something like Dark World, since it specifically says you need to discard 2. That is insane. Dark World would abuse the hell out of this. And honestly, a lot of other decks would, because when you think of like of tier,
I'm not scooping.
this would be really, really crazy. This card can never come back. It's even broken in GOAT in my opinion.
Next up, Last Will to Live. I don't know what this card does.
Placing down cards like that is a bad bluff. I would have at least tried playing around Nibiru if you kept at least one card. No, they're not willing to play any further. Well, that's depressing.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Everyone's on here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Sands, secret back room, find an Undertale, and like the reverse or not, I feel like we do need to start paying more attention to specifically, because oddly enough, there's been a lot of Sands, like,
Yeah, playing against Mitsurugi is so fucking depressing. Even if you're also playing Mitsurugi Ryzeal yourself. It's just so overtuned, like holy shit. This is the most pushed Ritual Monsters has ever been. I like rituals, but I didn't want them to be broken. Konami think this is what'll make us happy. I'll go play one last game against myself. I was expecting 2 slogs. I'm not willing to commit the 3rd game if it's potentially gonna take 30 minutes again. I'm gonna try board breakers again. one more game actually. Probably should have just stuck to playing online then. And the beer sure is useful. Also, I forgot I had a battle face.